Hey everyone, it's Kate, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Primavera Pinwheels lap quilt with the fabrics from our spring 2021 swatch set. It uses all of the fabrics in the swatch set, which goes out on Monday, March 8th, 2021, and you have until March 7th to sign up for it. I will include a link to all three of our swatch services in the description below and the YouTube description below. They're all really fun, but this year we have put our quilting cotton swatch service on steroids. You're going to get over 20 5.5-inch squares of coordinated fabrics every season. It'll be enough fabric to make a really fun project. So this season, you're going to be able to make this really cute pillow top. And as a bonus, you'll get the instructions to make a bigger project. And this season's bigger project is this Primavera Pinwheels lap quilt. You can also buy the kit for the lap quilt, whether or not you are subscribing to our swatch service. The kit includes a fat eighth of each of the focus fabrics and 7/8 of a yard of each of the solid fabrics, plus half a yard for the binding. It doesn't include the backing, but we've used, this is a really fun 108-inch wide fabric from Ruby Star Society, which I think looks really good on the back of this quilt. The kit costs $55, and I will have a link in the description below. Before I get started, I want to welcome all of you who came over from Pat Sloan. We have a whole bunch of new subscribers this season, and I'm so happy to have you aboard and talk about quilting with you. So let me talk about the 16 focus fabrics and 4 solid fabrics in this collection. So we really try to, can you see this okay? We really try to pull from all different areas of the store, all different brands, but we picked 8 cotton and steel fabrics for this collection. So these are all from cotton and steel, but they're all from different collections. And I just want to give you a heads up that this is our original fabric, and we might run out of it because we got so many subscriptions. And if we do, you might receive this fabric instead, which looks really good in its pinwheel as well. And it's also from cotton and steel, and it's brand new. It's not even on the website yet. So just a heads up. We also have 2 fabrics from Moda, 3 from K Facet, 1 Juicy Juice, a Dear Stella, and 1 from Michael Miller. So we have a real variety, a real potpourri of fabric brands and manufacturers, and we hope that you love how they go together as much as we do. So let's make the quilt. The pinwheels are made out of V-block units. There's 4 V-block units for each pinwheel. And I know that these can be a challenging unit to make. It's basically a triangle inside a square, and the triangle goes from one corner to the center and from the other corner to the center. But to be frank, I actually forgot these were hard to make because I've had a V-block ruler for a couple of years, and I'm really excited to show you how it works. So let's see, yeah. So this is the V-block ruler. It's from Deb Tucker or Studio 180 Designs, and it comes with great instructions that are super easy to follow, and it has right-handed and left-handed trimming instructions for you. It has all the information that you need is right here on the trimmer. And we're going to be making 80 4.5 inch this way, 80 4.5 inch cut or 4-inch finished V-block units for this quilt. And if you look on the ruler, it says that you start with 5-inch strips. So you'll need to, and all of this is in the instructions, so I'm not going to give you all the details, but you'll need to cut one 5-inch by 22-inch strip from each fat eighth of the focused fabrics. The focused fabrics are going to be the center triangles. And here is how you cut them. So you take your strip, and for the first center triangle, you're going to fold it. And there is a dotted line on your ruler that says a fold line for center triangles. And you're going to line that dotted line up, and then this says 4-inch finished, cut strips of 5 inches, so you know that you've got everything lined up. And you're going to, oh, I try to be more perfect when I'm not on camera, but so you're going to cut your first center triangle. And voila, you have a really nice center triangle. And now you just have to flip your fabric over. And there's another line here that says center triangle trim line. And I am going to line that up with the previous cut and trim, and then flip again and trim. And you just keep going along your strip. As I said, you're going to want 5 center triangles out of each of the focus fabrics. And so it's pretty easy to cut all your center triangles. And then you have your 5-inch strip for the side triangles. And that's another great thing about this ruler is you start with strips that are the same size and you don't have to overthink things. So here's my 5-inch strip for my side triangles. Because my side triangles are, or for this project, they are solid. You don't have to worry about making mirror images, but if you did, you'd want to make sure that your fabric was either right sides together or wrong sides together, so that each time you cut, you get 2 side triangles that are a mirror image of each other. So to cut the side triangles, you use the first cut, you use this really bold line and line it up with the edge of your fabric, and then you use this line here that says 4-inch finished, cut 5-inch strips, and cut. And then you rotate your ruler. I remember because if you flip the fabric, which is what I did with the center triangles, I flipped the fabric and you rotate the ruler, FF and RR. So I'm rotating the ruler, and on the other side of the ruler is an extended diagonal, and I line that up with my previous cut, and I cut again, and I'm on the straight. And that is how, and then you just keep going, you keep rotating your ruler until you actually have to cut 40 side triangles of each solid, which will take a minute. You can do it from two 5-inch strips. You also need to cut 10 2.5 by 8.5 inch sashing rectangles out of the solid fabric, and 10 2.5 by 12.5 inch sashing rectangles out of each color of solid fabric. All right, now we're going to go over to the sewing machine. And oops, and I hit the tripod. So the first thing you want to do is get yourself oriented. It's not hard after you make about 1,000 of these, but I still find myself, I need to make sure that I have my center triangles. These are the two longer sides, and then this is the shorter side. So the longer sides are on the sides, and the shorter one is at the bottom. And then the side triangles look like this because they're going to combine with the center triangle to make a square. And I just like to make sure everything's oriented. You also want to make sure that you're pairing your focus fabrics. Well, that is pretty dark, isn't it? Your focus fabrics with the right color of side fabric. And you can use the picture we have on the cover of your pattern, or if you, this can be a really fun scrappy project, and you can just use your scraps, and every triangle could be a different color. And then you want to get ready to sew. Oh, I forgot to say aloud why I moved this. So what I do is I get everything oriented, and then I move one half of the side triangles off to the side, because I like to chain piece just one side on first, press it, and then I sew the other side on. I'm just going to do 2 of them for you, so you can figure out how it works. I need to grab something behind you. Okay, so I'm getting ready to sew, and I show you how I get my scant 1/4 inch seam ready. I have this ideal seam gauge, and it comes with another piece of plastic that you put up against it, but because I have a kind of rounded surface on all my machines, I don't have one of those fancy tables. I know I should, but I don't. That piece of plastic tends to move around on me, so I build a little ledge out of painter's tape. It's about 8 to 10 layers of painter's tape. I build this nice little ledge, and then I use this gauge, and I put it in the hole for the scant 1/4 inch. I put my needle in the hole for the scant 1/4 inch, and then I rotate it, and then I snug my little painter's tape ledge up with the ideal seam gauge, and I have a guide for a perfect scant 1/4 inch seam. All right, so then I have my leader in here. This is the thing I forget all the time. And we're going to sew our first side. So the sharp corner of the side triangle lines up with the top corner of your center triangle. And then this blunted end, it'll line up with the bottom of your center triangle. And here we go. So I also have some cotton quilting thread, and I've changed my stitch length is 2.0. I know some people use an even smaller stitch length, but I want to be able to rip out because sometimes I make mistakes. I also have the dual feed engaged on my machine. I always like to do that when I am piecing on the bias. So when I'm doing half square triangles or anything that might get stretched out of shape, I'll make sure that my dual feed is engaged. Okay, so now I'm just doing 2, but if I were doing the whole quilt, I could literally do 80, all 80 V blocks in one big long chain piece. Okay, now I'm going to move both of these out of the way, and I'm going to cut them apart. And then I'm going to put my side triangles on top because I want to press toward the side triangles. First I press the seam as sewn, and then I'm going to press it toward the side triangle. Press it as sewn and then toward the side triangle. And then, you know, I could have a whole pile of 80 of these. I'm going to move the other triangles into place, make sure that they're oriented correctly. And so I have this little ear, dog ear sticking up, and I'm going to line up the top triangle with that, and then the bottom like that. And I'm actually going to start my sewing at the bottom here. Sometimes it works out that I can start sewing at the top, and that's kind of nice because it's already been sewn, so it's pretty stable up there. Oh, let me get my header. And I'll just sew this one, but you get the idea that you could just chain piece the second sides on, and it really won't take too long. Gonna cut that, and then once again, I'm gonna press it toward the side triangle. So I have the side triangle on top, and Rachel is acting as a sunblock. And now I'm going to go over and trim. Okay, so now we have a pretty raggedy V block. It's not completely lined up down here. We've got some tails sticking out here. But never fear, it's slightly bigger than we need. And this V block ruler is going to make it super easy to trim it to perfection. So we're going to start in the valley position. So start in, so it looks like a V. And I'm going to line up. So this, it says finished sizes right here. So my finished size is 4 inches. So there's a little 4 next to this V, V, and I can see the 2 V's going along my stitching line. And I'm going to trim, not much there, and trim the top. And then I'm going to switch it around so it's looks like a mountain. So valley position to mountain position. And now this says cut sizes. I wish I could say that this is not confusing, but sometimes I get a little bit confused. But for the second cut, you're going to use the cut size, and that's 4.5. So I've got the 4.5 lined up here, and then there's a 4.5 line down here as well. And there's also an X right here that is right on top of the top of my little mountain. And I'm going to trim both sides. And we have a perfect V block. The mountain is a 1/4 inch away from the edge. And at the 1/4 inch, both of these bottom legs are going to go right into the corner after you sew it into the next unit. So I love this tool because everyone turns out exactly the same and everything fits together great. So now we're going to go back over to the sewing machine and I'm going to show you how to sew and press the pinwheels. So once again, this is something you can chain piece, but once again, you also want to get really well oriented. Actually, I like this going that way, and then this pointing up, this pointing right, and then this one pointing down. Oh good, I have another. Okay. So you have a picture in your pattern that shows which way each triangle should be pointing. I think of it as pointing left, pointing up, pointing right, and pointing down. And that is how you're going to make something that looks like a pinwheel. And you can have all of your V blocks just piled in 4 piles and chain piece to your heart's content. But I'm just going to make one for you now. So I'm going to grab this first one and flip it so it's right sides together with the second one, or with the second one in that row, and get everything lined up. No. Let's see. All right, I'm going to get my leader going because I'm going to be a good example. I find leaders are kind of like your reusable bags at the grocery store. I remember them about half the time. Okay, so here we go. I'm using my little ledge as my guide. I'm going to put it down and make sure that that's going the right way. All right, and now for the second row, I'm going to grab the first unit, put it right sides together with the second unit, take them over to the machine, and sew them up. And if I were doing the whole thing at one time, I would grab this unit and then this one and just keep going until I had them all sewn up, but we're not going to do that today. So I still have the thread holding them together, and I'm going to open them up. And they're still oriented the right way. And I'm going to press these seams open. Because we've pressed the V blocks toward the small triangles, it can get kind of thick in here. So I was really happy to see a week ago or so, Pat Sloan, probably it was 2 weeks ago. She makes so many videos, my gosh. I'm in awe of her. She said that she will, in the same quilt, press some seams open and some seams to the side, because I do that too, and I was hoping that it was an okay thing to do. So I'm pressing both of those seams open. And now I don't have to undo this chain piece. I can just flip them so they're together, right sides together. And especially when I press open, I like to pin at the junction and make sure that that it's all going to line up. And I actually kind of pin upside down when I'm I have the ball of the pin down here, and I stop the point right before the very edge so that I can leave the pin in as I use my little bumper and it won't hit it. So make sure that this is matched up. And oopsie, I forgot. I'm going to use, thank you. And after you get these all pinned together, you can chain piece these as well. Needle down. I'm going to take the pin out at the very last minute. I don't really like sewing over pins, but sometimes I do. And let me know in the comments if you sew over pins or not. I know that there are different schools of thought. Okay. All right, so there we have a pinwheel, and I am going to press this seam open as well. It's just, oh, and I actually will have to trim my, trim the chain piecing thread, which I'm not going to do right now, but, oh, it kind of opened. There we go. Okay, so there is a gorgeous pinwheel. And after you make all your pinwheels, you'll add your sashing, and you've cut two 8.5 inch, well, you've cut 8.5 inch sashings. So you'll sew those two to the two opposite sides, and then the 12.5 inchers will go like this. And I press these open as well. And then you lay out all your blocks either exactly how we did it in the picture or however looks good to you. And you are done with your quilt top, and you can bind it and get it quilted, and it's great. We're going to go over here. Okay, we're switching cameras really quick here. We're not quite, so this is the cover of the quilting cotton set, and you can use this as a guide for what color solid to pair with each focus fabric that you get, or you can use the picture of the quilt on the front. All right, thanks everyone for watching. You could probably tell that you don't have to subscribe to our quilting cotton swatch service in order to make this quilt. You can get the kit separately, but if you want to subscribe to our swatch service, it's really fun. We have multiple videos about each service, and we love interacting with you about fabric. So subscribe if you want to, or just get the kit, or make your own scrappy one. But I do recommend getting the ruler. It makes the V block so much easier. So thanks for watching, everyone. Happy quilting, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.